Hi there everyone, just a quick lesson just in relation to a bit of terminology really on expressions, equations, identities and formula. It's likely at some point in the GCSE exam they're going to talk about expressions or equations or identities and formula, and obviously the expectation is you know what those four things are. So it's worth kind of covering off just to make sure you are clear what each of those ones are and the difference between them. Okay, so let's kind of run through them first of all. So an expression, all right, that does not have an equal sign. It's as simple as that. All right. So if I said 4x plus 3, that would be an expression. If I said 2x, that would be an expression. But anything that doesn't have an equals, essentially. All right. So examples: 2x plus 7, 5x minus t. Both expressions cannot be solved. Can't do anything with it. It's literally just a way of saying. So for example, the first one would be 2 times something plus 7. All right. That would be an expression. To put that into context, all right. So you might be asked to write an expression in terms of using words, all right. But that is another lesson. By all means, kind of look at the other lesson in terms of putting together expressions. And then the second one, well, it might be 5 times something, take away something, all right. And that would be 5 times x and minus t. So it might be 5 times the number, take away the number of hours, or something like that. Okay. So that would be an expression anyway. Okay. An equation. Well, this does have an equal sign, all right, so that is important, but it only has one variable, all right. So 3x plus 5 equals 0, okay, so that is an equation because I can solve it. I could rearrange that and find out what x is, okay. So x squared plus 2x plus 5, all right, it's a quadratic equation. It has an equal obviously in it, so definitely an equation. So again, that could be solved. I would probably have to use the formula or maybe kind of factorize it, but it can be solved, all right? And that's the kind of key thing with an equation. It has one variable and it can be solved, all right? Right, the other two are formulas and identities. Well, a formula is again, a little bit like an equation, has an equal sign, but it has more than one variable, all right? More than one, all right? So if this one, area equals base times height, well, the two variables are base times height, aren't they? And obviously you've got a at this point, you don't have an answer for it. So that would be a formula. It's a formula to calculate the area, isn't it? You've got over here, which is a formula of y is equal to x squared plus 5x plus 8. Now that does look like a quadratic equation, but actually it's the formula for a quadratic graph, because you've got a y, which currently we don't have, and an x value, which we couldn't have. Now if I was going to put some values in, then by doing that, it would allow me to kind of work out a solution, but it can't be solved on its own right without putting some values in to start with. All right, so again, that's going to be a formula. The final one is an identity. That means it's effectively the same on both sides. No matter what value you put into it, they're the same on both sides. So if I was going to take the formula from above, now if I was going to put a number into y equals x squared plus 5x plus 8. Now I might get something on the right hand side, or it might equal something on the left hand side. I'm sure it will at some point, or maybe it will, maybe it won't, I don't know. But it's not an identical solution, because whatever value I put in, it will vary, and I can't guarantee that I would get the same outcome every single time. Whereas this one, this is, if you look at it very, very carefully, you've got something which is on the right hand side, which is 2x plus 2. And then this on the left-hand side is exactly the same thing, but factorised. It's literally just divided both by 2 and taken it out. So that is exactly the same as that. All right, so that would be an identity. Over here, well, 3 times x is the same as x plus x plus x. Well, that's kind of like common sense, but technically, that's, of course it is, because 3 times 10 is 30, is the same as 10 plus 10 plus 10. And it doesn't matter what value of x I put in there, both the left-hand side and right-hand side are identical, all right? There's one thing which is missing, and you may kind of come across it, is sometimes you will see, in terms of an identity, this might be written with 3 lines, all right? 3 lines. That gives it away really more than anything else. I don't always do it, but ultimately, if they put 3 lines on there, so an equals with another line underneath it, that means it's identical to. So that's something just to kind of watch out for if you see that in an exam, all right? So there are your 4 things. So equations, expressions, formulas, and identity. Make sure you know the difference between the two, all right? And if you want some practice on it, visit maths-school.co.uk. Obviously some kind of quizzes on there for you to have a go at and see how you kind of get on, all right? about. But that's it for me for now. Cheers.